The lights are on, so I can't see any of you, but I hope you're settling down. And before I start, I just want to say that, I just caught the end of what Chelsea was saying. And she talked about the quantum computing and the encryption. And recently we did an event with Dave Farber, who is the grandfather of the internet. And he said exactly the same thing, that, without stronger encryption than we have now, everything's going to get screwed up. Even blockchain or whatever, it's only as weak as the endpoints. And so that I echo what she says. So my name's Joly. I'm the president of the Internet Society of New York. I also do live streaming for the Internet Society, live streaming this tonight. And so the first thing I want to say is to give out my thanks to the Hope Knock, to Hurricane Electric, who hooks up the Hope Knock to the internet, to the Hope AV team and the lighting team, so that without them as our co-workers, we wouldn't be able to put on this great stream that people, I hope, are watching all over the place, and I know they are in the mezzanine. A big shout out to you guys down in the mezzanine. So the Internet Society was formed in '92, and it was because the National Science Foundation had decided that they no longer wanted to run the backbone, so it was handed off. The backbone was handed off to commercial providers, and the IETF needed an organizational home to run their meetings and everything. And so we're 25 years old, and by coincidence, '92 was also the same year the EFF was formed. So it was a kind of significant year in internet history. Vint Cerf came up with the phrase, "The internet is for everyone." And this is not an original idea for him, because even in the 80s, he said IP on everything. But more complicatedly, people keep coming up to us downstairs and saying, what does the internet do, Internet Society do? And so here is Vint again saying, we're trying to help all of the stakeholders of the internet to understand what the implications of the technology are, what policies are beneficial, and what rights and freedoms need to be preserved in the use of this system. So Vint often says, he talks about the internet or whatever replaces it. And the father of any child knows how fragile its offspring is. And I've just recently been talking to him, and he's still sort of come back to this thing that he's still looking for something that's better than the internet that might come on. But at the moment, the Internet Society's mission is to hook everybody up. We worked with Vint this year, and we've got a project for the local chapter with him, which is digital preservation. And this is something which doesn't get the kind of attention that it might do. That the reality that we're in right now with everything online is a lot of it is ephemeral, and so how it's being preserved and conserved is an important thing. We've done some events already. An event I would like to do, and I hope to do later in the year, is to get Vint and Jason Scott in the same room. And Vint still is into protocols, and so this is something he tweeted just yesterday, a simple flow chart. Okay, getting back to the Internet Society, this is a simpler formulation working for an internet that is open, globally connected, and secure. And so we've got a bunch of key issues that we're working on at the moment. So the first one is community networks, and this is really a big thing where we're looking at, we've got 3.5 billion people on the internet. We want to put there's another 3.5 to come on. And so the only way to do it is basically for them to hook themselves up rather than waiting for the internet to come to them. So the last mile becomes the first mile and so on. Here in New York, we're kind of leading the way with the Nyc Mesh, but this is a picture of a bunch of guys in Georgia sticking up an antenna on a mountaintop. The next one that we're looking at, key issue, is internet governance. And so we're pushing the multi-stakeholder model, and this is as an alternative to being run just by governments and industry, the multilateral model, to promote multi-stakeholderism. The third one is the Internet of Things. It's the security of the Internet of Things, the fact that you have all these devices being cranked out that just don't have any security in them. They aren't updatable online. So trying to figure out, standards and doing that in a multi-stakeholder fashion. We've got several processes going on around the world to establish standards on that kind of thing. And the last one is routing security, mutually agreed norms for routing security. So this is kind of avoiding the, I don't know if you remember a few years ago when Pakistan hijacked the entire YouTube traffic. So this kind of thing where people know who they're reaching and the methods by which they're reaching them, that people can't spoof on BGP. We're the parent organization, the Internet Engineering Task Force. And so in '92, David Clark articulated the Internet Creed. We reject kings, presidents, and voting. We believe in running code and rough consensus. And this is still the way that the IETF runs. But there was a little, that's well known, but a little less well known is these things that he also said at the same time. Our best success was not computing, but hooking people together. The hacks of today are the commonplace of tomorrow. The problem is assigning the correct degree of fear to distant elephants, and that's what Chelsea was doing right there. If we have a problem, it is due to too much success, and that's for sure. I recommend reading The Tower of the ITF. The Internet Society is financed by .org. All the money that goes to .org, when you get a .org thing comes after administration comes to us, and that's what is paying for your streaming today. IPv6, we launched it properly in June 6, 2012, so we've now just gone over 6 years. It's a 7-year stretch coming next year. We're going to try and make sure that we're just getting to a point where suddenly it will become the new normal, which is more than it was then. I want to mention the Internet Hall of Fame. This is a great thing that the Internet Society does, which not only honors people that did stuff, but also, if you go in there and read through it, it's better than reading a history of the Internet to look at these people. There's videos of these people. This guy I want to mention is Alan Emtage, who's from Barbados, who in fact invented the first search engine, Archie. I'm sure you old school guys remember Archie. And he's a good example of a guy who didn't, someone said to him, well, you could make some money off this. He said, I don't want to make money, I just want people to be able to do it. If you read up about Larry and Sergey, that was their same idea at the beginning. They didn't want to make money out of it. They just thought it was they wanted to help people, but they got waylaid. This is also on the Internet Hall of Fame. There's a very good timeline of the Internet. It's well worth reading. Getting back to the Internet Society, we've got chapters all over the world. This is an old map. We've got more chapters than this. And we're a broad tent. We have big organizations, Microsoft and people like that, as well as, people like me. We have a bunch of special interest groups: blockchain, community network, cybersecurity, Internet of Food, Internet of Things, interplanetary networking chapter, which is Vince as well, delay-tolerant networking, the women special interest group, the youth special interest group, which is a Spanish-speaking group, and one that I'm involved in, which is an accessibility special interest group. So going back to community networking, what we at the Internet Society in New York have come to an arrangement with Nyc Mesh, and in fact, this was born out of the Last Hope when we first shared our table with them, and that was really what got them off the ground. At that time, they had 40 nodes, local nodes. Now they have 183 nodes since that, and this is by the help of engineers that were recruited here at Hope. Nodes are no good unless people are hooked together, and so there's a map of the actual links between the nodes. So the way that Nyc Mesh works is, you get the router on your roof, you have to pay for the hardware to get it installed. It's like $100 and something bucks, and then you basically make a donation of $20 a month and that's what you do. And that comes to us as the Internet Society of New York. We're the fiscal sponsor, we're a 501c3, so you can actually, that's tax deductible donation at the end of the year, so you can take the internet off your tax. And and it's working well. That's a super node on top of the Savvy building, the old Verizon building downtown. There's another super node in Bed-Stuy, that one you can see there, and we're always looking for tall buildings that we can get on the top of with that. So it's something to do. So we're actually taking donations for Nyc Mesh downstairs, and if you donate $10, you can get one of these T-shirts, but you better hurry up because we're going to run out of them today. And just a little more about the Internet Society in New York. I'd like to compliment one of our board members, Avri Doria, who is now a director of ICANN. She spoke this morning at 9 o'clock. I don't know if you saw her. And then someone else that we've actually got on our board this year, we've got a new guy, this guy, Alexander J. Urbalis. So, won't be long before he replaces me as president probably, but he's certainly going to replace me here on stage right now.